What is up, Wats fam? I hope you're having a great day today. And welcome to the only show where your host can eat chocolate chip cookies and Rice Krispie treats and drink chocolate milk while he's hosting his show.
Stop it. Get some help.
Guys, I am saddened right now because of this. I guess I'm not going to New Orleans this year. And this is where I'm gonna have to start our main stories here for today, and that is the University of Hawaii lost to Army last week Saturday at West Point, dropping them to 3-1. Even though Hawaii did put up a great fight though last week, but they did fall up short, and this will most definitely take them out of hopes of a New Year's Six bowl, sadly. And also, I'm not going to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. However, there's still a lot of season to go. Hawaii's still 1-0 in the Mountain West Conference, and they have a big homecoming game against Duquesne. The game against Duquesne will be on Saturday, kickoff at 6 at Aloha Stadium. More bad news, Marcus Mariota was limited to practice today as he is still dealing with his elbow injury that is causing him to lose feeling in his fingers. And I'm not too sure if they named the quarterback for this week, but if I had to name a quarterback as of right now, it would be backup Blaine Gabbert. The Tennessee Titans this week played AFC runner-up the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Now returning to the campus of UH Manoa and to the Terraplex in the Stan Sheriff Center. Last week, the University of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine, they dropped 2 matches to nationally ranked University of Oregon last week. And now this week, they will have to turn around and face conference foes UC Davis and UC Irvine. Hawaii's record right now is 4-5. Alright guys, so if you know me and you've been watching all of my videos on Wats Sports Hawaii, you guys know that I've been making segments and stuff, well, maybe not information up, bruh. But you guys know what I mean. I've been trying to create ideas here and there, and we just create whatever as we go along here, and we switch up things. So for today's show, I'm going to be switching up today's segment of last minute and also Chihu or Ass segment and go into PTI, pardon the interruption. Now for those of you sports fans that watch a lot of ESPN and SportsCenter and you're trying to figure out why does PTI, pardon the interruption, sound so familiar, well, it's based off the ESPN show PTI and pardon the interruption, where we have our two main guys just talk about sports in general, and they basically have 2.5 minutes to talk about each topic. But for me, I'm just going to be talking about topics and that I have for today's show and just discussing it and just make my point, basically. So our first PTI question for today's show is, should UH fire women's volleyball head coach Robin Amo Santos? So let's face it, I think Hawaii should just fire Robin Amo Santos because Hawaii just sucks under her. Alright, I mean, it's just not the same when Dave Soji left. And now that Dave Soji left and all the talk basically on this and that about Dave Soji this, Dave Soji that, now I'm starting to appreciate how much Dave Soji meant to that program. Exception of wins and national championships. Okay. Now, what has Robin Amo done since taking over as UH head coach? Not too much. Now, I know you guys would criticize me by saying that UH should fire her and all that, but listen. Under Dave Soji, do you think if he was to continue coaching up to this point, and if the season started right if the season did go up to this point, do you think Hawaii would be 4-5 as of right now under Dave Soji? Most likely not. So I don't know if it's the coach or if it's the players. The University of Hawaii Rainbow Waihe volleyball team has to turn something, and they have to switch up something for their season to be a successful one and to possibly win the Big West Conference. Now guys, the next PTI question I have for today's show is a pretty controversial topic, especially for high school football here on Hawaii, and that is whether or not we should continue to have triple headers at Aloha Stadium. Now, for those of you guys who don't watch high school football, there was a triple header at Aloha Stadium last week, Saturday, and there was basically 3 games of ILH football. And the last game did not end until about 11:30, I want to say. So the question is, should we continue to have triple headers of high school football at Aloha Stadium? Is the general question. Now, it is exciting to have 3 games in one day at Aloha Stadium, especially for football fans like me and many others around here on the island. But if we're gonna end the final game at 1:30 or 11:30, then basically there's a problem right there. That, to me, that draws a red flag right there. Because first off, you gotta think about the kids and how tired they are. They're teenagers, and I estimate 90% of them stay up pretty late, especially high school football players. But if you think about it, what football game ends 1 o'clock in the morning? Yes, we should continue, but if I were to continue having triple headers at Aloha Stadium, then I would probably have to move up the first game kickoff up to like 12 o'clock, basically, and go from there. And that way, we don't have these problems of games ending at 11:30 or 1 o'clock, basically. So that is my point on should we have triple headers here at Aloha Stadium. And the final PTI question that I have for today is a big one, and this one is still high school football, but it is a record-setting one, and that is, can middle line quarterback Dylan Gabriel break the record for the most passing yards in a career this week? Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Dylan Gabriel is only 319 yards away from that record, and that record is currently being held by Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa right now, and that is an elite name, and for Dylan, if not already, has passed many elite quarterbacks in that category, and has already passed those quarterbacks in many other categories, such as touchdown passes, completions, and attempts, basically. And so for me, for middle line taking on Waianae this week, I say yes, Dylan Gabriel does break the record. Alright guys, you know what's the next segment coming up on my show, and that is Pick'em, and you know what the deal is already. So of course, 10 games, I predict all 10, including Hawaii's main event, and so be it. Alright guys, the first game that I have for Pick'em this week is on the island of Kauai, where the Kauai Red Raiders will take on Waimea High School at Hanapepe Stadium. Now, Kauai, they are undefeated, and they have shown that they could be a force in Division 1 and in the state probably, especially for a Kauai team. And we haven't seen a Kauai team do this well since Kapa'a, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, around there. But yeah, and Waimea needs to win this week also to be in the hunt for the KIF title and if they want any shot at that title. But for this week, I gotta go with Kawhi this week just because Kawhi is very hot right now. One of the hottest teams in the state. And yeah. Alright guys, the next game that I have here for this week is a big game in Division 1, and that is Radford at Iolani. Now, last week Iolani put on a show last week at Aloha Stadium, defeating Damien 30-19. And Jonah Chung just showed the state that he can be a great quarterback and is a potential threat to many teams such as Damien. Now, for this week, I gotta go with Iolani because, well, if you go back to last week, I did say Red Raiders. Jonah Chung and the Iolani the Iolani Red Raiders. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is this week, and I got Jonah Chung and the Iolani Raiders winning over the Radford Rams. Alright guys, the next game is a big time rivalry on the east coast of Oahu, and that is Castle at Kailua. And that is probably the most entertaining rivalry on Oahu. For those of you guys who don't know about this rivalry between Castle and Kailua, this rivalry goes way back to, just way back. And it's a huge rivalry, and the schools are basically approximately at least 5 miles within each other, I like say. But yeah, big rivalry. And for this week, I gotta go with Kailua this week, just because that they can hang with pretty much anyone. They just haven't finished this. They haven't finished any games this year so far. So yeah, I gotta go with the Surf Riders on this one. The fourth game of Pick'em this week will be a big one in Division 1, as the Leleho Mules will travel to Aiea this week. Now, both teams coming off of 2 disappointing losses last week. Leleho to Moanua on homecoming night, and then Aiea just getting manhandled by Paul last week in a very disappointing loss last week. But for this week though, I gotta go with Max Nichols and the Leleho Mules getting the bounce back this week. And I just think that Leleho has done a very good job of bouncing back when adversity hits them, and especially after their loss to Farrington. And I think they'll rebound very well after their loss to Moanua this week. Now we'll go to Central Oahu for a big matchup in the OIA, a open division, as the Waianae Sea Riders will take on the Middleline Trojans. And as I said before, Dylan Gabriel has a chance to break the record this week, and he is only 319 yards passing yards away. And this week is the Middleline Trojans senior night game this week, as many seniors will be taking the field at John Kainana Stadium, probably for the last time this year. And yeah, but for this week, I gotta go with Mililani and Dylan Gabriel breaking that record. Let's stay in the open division now, as the St. Louis Crusaders will take on the Kapolei Hurricanes in Second City. Now, last week, St. Louis came off of a huge win against Punahou last week, as the Crusaders defeated the Buff and Blue 35-28. Now, on the other hand, Kapolei, coming off of a shutout for the first time since 2014, was devastated by that loss last week against Farrington in Kalihi. But for this week, I gotta go with St. Louis. As they're becoming a mega storm, even more mega than the storm in Kapolei. But yeah, Jaden Deloro and Fa'atui Tuitele over Darren Hernandez's Canes this week. Now, another big rivalry game that will be happening this weekend is a big one between Upper and Lower Campus in Kalihi, as the Farrington Governors will be going up to Upper Campus to play the Kamehameha Warriors this week. Now also, that's another big rivalry that goes back, way before I was born. I mean, you know. But for this week, Farrington coming off of a big win against Kapolei, 13-0. And Kamehameha looking to rebound after they lost to Kahuku last week. I gotta go with Kamehameha this week because of their defense. Watch out for Tiger Peterson and Hoku Arias leading the defense this week as they battle Chris Safe and that Farrington offense. Alright guys, now let's turn to the H1 freeway going westbound, and let's turn onto 76 South as the Campbell Sabres host the Punahou Buff and Blue. Both teams are coming off of their respective losses last week, but this week I gotta go with Punahou and Hugh Brady leading the charge on that Punahou offense this week. Alright guys, and our 9th game for Pick'em this week is a huge interleague game between the Kaimuki Bulldogs and the St. Francis Saints at Skippadia Stadium. Kaimuki is 4-1 and the St. Francis Saints are 5-0 this week. So a huge matchup this week in Division 2. Now, even though it's a Division 2 matchup, there are tons of star players to watch out for this week on both sides of the football here. As for Kaimuki, watch out for UW commit Sama Pa'ama. As I said before, he is committed to UW and is a beast on the line. So watch out for number 64 for green and gold. And for the St. Francis Saints, watch out for wide receiver Shepherd Kate Kahuna, as he plays both ways as well as a wide receiver and defensive back. And also watch out for St. Francis defensive lineman Sione Lolohea, as he was a beast last week in St. Francis's win over Pac-5. But for this week, I gotta go with the St. Francis Saints. Just too much for Kaimuki this week, as I believe the score will be St. Francis 35, Kaimuki 14. Alright guys, now I have predicted 9 games so far for this week's Pick'em, but now we're down to one last game, and that is Hawaii's main event, and we're going to Salt Lake for a Namenehune homecoming party, and that is the Moanalua Namenehune hosting the Damien Monarchs. Now here are some fun facts for this week's Hawaii's main event, and they all go on Moanalua's side. Moanalua looking for their first ever 5-0 start in school history. And Moanalua leads the all-time series over the Damien Monarchs 2-1. For Damien, a player to watch out for this week is quarterback Jay Colts. Now, even though Damien lost to Iolani last week, Jake Colts still showed some bright spots last week against Iolani, and I expect him to have a great game this week as they take on Moanalua. Now for Big Blue, you also have to watch out for their quarterback Nick Au, as he is one of the most proliferated quarterbacks in the state right now as well. And also watch out for Traquan Henderson, returner and defensive back for this year's Moanalua squad. And last week, Traquan Henderson returned a kickoff return 99 yards to the house. So you gotta watch out for Traquan Henderson, as he can turn nothing into something, and maybe even turn a play from losing yards to maybe even 6 points. But for the keys for this week's Hawaii's main event matchup, I gotta go with the special teams here, as like I said before, Traquan Henderson, if you give him the ball in his hands, he can make anything happen, and that's one thing that Damien has to watch out for, and must contain if they want to have a shot to stay in this game and to have a chance at winning this game as well. And another key for this week will have to be Nick Au. Now, Nick Au has shown that he can play ball as well as good as anyone on in the state, but he has shown that he can be he can go down a level and he can rise up to a whole new level, but it's going to have to depend on Nick Gao and where his game is at for that day. But now it is time to choose a winner, and I have my answer locked in. But before I get into who I chose for this week's Hawaii's main event, it is a battle of the nicknames and the mascots this week. Okay, and I gotta admit it, the Damien Monarchs, they remind me of the Hawaiian monarchy, the British monarchy, kings, queens, and the royal wedding and all that sort of nature. But for this week, I gotta go with Bleeding Blue this week. And yes, I got Moalua this week for Hawaii's main event matchup. Let's go. Nick Ao, you better show up, man. And yes, I am calling you out right now, because you better bring your A game this week, because I have faith in you, and I believe that you will go 5-0 for the first time in school history. So I got Moalua 42, Damien 35. Alright guys, now before I let you guys go here for this week and for you guys to enjoy your football weekend on the islands, I want to give a big heckle to my brother in Kahuku, Mickey Ayu. And for those of you who don't know, Mickey Ayu has a season-ending knee injury and will be out for the remainder of the season. And it is tough to see a great guy and a great player like Mickey Ayu to go down with a season-ending injury. And excuse me, but it is, it's tough, because Mickey Ayu is going to be on a scholarship to play football at the University of Washington, as he made his commitment over the summer. And he is a special guy, on the field and off the field. So to you, Mr. Mickey Ayu, I give you my prayers and my thoughts for you for a speedy and healthy recovery, brother. I wish you the best and take care. And guys, if you haven't already, I want you to false that subscription button, and I want you to lick that notification bell. That way you guys don't miss another episode or other videos for my Wats Sports channel here on YouTube, to right here, right in front of you. And guys, also don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, J Magic Wats, as well. I'll put a link in the description as well for you guys to check it out. But guys, other than that, thank you for watching. Lick 'em, false 'em, and shoots.